Happy Friday everyone, welcome to MCL Live. We are here from the Tour of Gippsland with none other than Stage 3, i.e. today's stage winner and now GC leader, Paddy Lane. Paddy, welcome.
Thank you. Hello everyone.
First time on MCL Live. As I've always said, we are live. If you have questions for Pat, just type them straight down below. We're going to touch on, he's had a fantastic year. Start off with the Nationals, we'll talk a little bit about Grafton, then a stint overseas with some notable other riders, and then we'll finish it off with today. So Paddy, big welcome mate. This has been almost your most successful year, would you say, on the bike?
Yeah, definitely. It's been a really good year. Enjoyed the team, and it's all sort of come together nicely from right at the start of the year, and yeah, really enjoyed it.
So you had a good stint at Nationals in 2015 when you were at African Wildlife, I think, or 14? 15? Yeah, and you had a good squirt off the front with about 3 laps to go. This year is a bit more calculated, would you say? Obviously the field got pretty blown apart, as it always does on that Buninyong circuit, and you came in and took third. But do you want to run through the race and sort of how that plays out?
Yeah, definitely. The year it's a course that I always knew suited me, and I went there going well in under 23s always, but it never quite came together. The year with AWS, I knew I wasn't going my best, so I went pretty early just to try and create something a bit more. Whereas this year the team put a lot of faith in me, and I think they believed in me a lot more than I did, and I knew to be a bit more patient, and yeah, they put a lot of belief in me, and I actually thought I had a good shot.
We have got a question in from Riley. Pat, who's quicker, James Cummings, good MCL member, or Charlie the Cavoodle?
Charlie's got him covered for sure. I've got some good videos of them racing each other actually.
Okay mate, so you sort of, it was a bit of a plan I suppose, but when did you sort of think, you've been striving so hard for that sort of top position in those Nationals, which is a really important early indicator. What did you sort of think when you came across the line? Just, no one was around you when you came in third?
Yeah,
how'd you feel?
It was a funny one because normally you wouldn't be, like third at the Nationals is a great result and I was happy with it. But you wouldn't normally be as happy I think with third. But Jack we never saw all day, so first place was basically impossible. It was on another level. I only saw him at the start line pretty much. So we were sort of racing for second all day, and then we made a bit of a mistake when Cam got away. And then I was like, oh, now we're only racing for third. I think it was a minute and a half in front. And so it was, even though it was only third, it was the best result that was up for grabs at that stage. So, and to ride away from, I think Matt Keenan came up after the race and said, like, to ride away from two yellow jersey wearers in the Tour de France and stuff, puts it all in perspective. Yeah, it was pretty awesome.
How much, for the guys at home and girls at home, how much sort of conversation goes on? Obviously, earlier on in the race, are you sort of having a chat? Are you waiting for an early move? Or is everyone, considering it's the national champs, is everyone a bit more on edge, that they're like a bit more serious than usual?
I think it just depends on the riders. Some guys are pretty serious on race day and don't talk at all. Others, I think maybe the nerves, they talk more shit than normal. Like, I'm not too sure. Like, I always talk a bit and pretty relaxed. But yeah. But yeah, it just depends on the riders, I think. But the Nationals are a bit, like, everyone doesn't really know how they're going and stuff, so people are a bit more nervous, I think, than normal.
So after the Nationals, you sort of, it's the start of the year, so you've got a bit more business to sort of get into. Are you immediately straight after you're back into training for the next event, and sort of, is it simply just a tick box? Like, yeah, I did third, now I'm on to the next one.
Yeah, well, like I went there expecting to go well, but I'd never, for years I've been really disappointed not to make the Tour Down Under team, and I think I was pretty close in under 23s, and then I hadn't thought about it at all that year. It didn't even cross my mind that I'd make the team. So then after the race they told me that I'd made that, and I think I left a couple of days later, just went, see a few recovery days and then there, so yeah, just on with the job sort of thing.
So obviously when you were, a few years ago, you spent quite a bit of time overseas. Your first taste of sort of World Tour action came at this year's Tour Down Under. What was the pace like? Or, you know, did you feel comfortable from stage 1, or did you get to sort of stage 4 and go, oh, this feels really good, or did you go, geez, these guys really blow the doors off here? Yeah,
it was a bit of a surprise actually, because I watch all the cycling on the TV, and just the parts where even when it looks like they're just going slow and it's all across the road, even then in like the cancel crit, you're still doing 52, 53k an hour. It just looks slow. because they're all up there. But it's so fast and tight. The road races were a bit more my thing. Just the run down the gorge was pretty crazy. So yeah, there was definitely some good experiences there. And yeah, similar but different.
Favourite stage there? What's the corkscrew like? Sort of riding with those guys.
I don't think the corkscrew is a great stage. The running is like a lot of the pros there said even for them it was really sketchy and sort of takes away from the race because you lose so many people in the crashes coming down there and stuff. The best stage is Wollonga for sure. The crowd there is just incredible. There's so many people. It's kind of like nationals and yeah, very nice vibe.
You find you ride a bit faster with all that sort of atmosphere coming in?
Definitely. Like going up the hill at nationals, being from Melbourne, there's a lot of people there that you know, and yeah, it's really cool that everyone getting around.
All right, so we sort of leave that World Tour scene, and then we start heading into the NRS season, and of course you take out one of the most famous one-day classic races in Australia, Grafton. How did that race sort of play out?
Yeah, we're going into Grafton. We'd done a really big training block. Fens from FCP training had me doing heaps of endurance rides, so I knew I'd be good with the long distance and having raced for so many years. The trouble there was always going to be just having so many guys from our team up there and stuff, and luckily we got two of us in the break, and just had the legs at the end to get away with Nate Elliott, and it was really nice to come in with one of my best friends, and yeah, it was awesome.
No hard feelings to old Nathan after the finish line?
He was alright once I took him out for some nice food, celebrated.
Yeah. Okay, so what goes on? Obviously, we've seen a bit of a lull in the NRS. Obviously, we're here at the Tour of Gippsland now. How do you keep yourself sort of motivated in those times? Does the team send you to Europe? Was that always on the cards? Or if there was more NRS races, would some of the teams stay here? Or how would that work, do you reckon?
Well, that was the first year of Andy's been over to Europe. It worked really well for us because it did fill a big gap between Grafton and the first tour back at South Coast. So for us it was nice to have a bit of racing and stuff. I think if they had heaps of racing, we'd still look to a bit of international racing because we have 18 riders on the team. So there's still 8 or 9 guys over in Europe now.
Yep.
So we need a bit of a split program, and it's just good that they can do that for us.
So let's talk about the Europe. Obviously, we spoke a couple of weeks ago, and I was fascinated by the stories that you were sort of telling about how sort of how big like guys like Tom Boonen and stuff are in the bunch, and you sort of get there and you see these sort of guys that are just huge. Obviously, you have a bit of a stint in Europe anyway. But do you want to run us through a couple of those races? I think there was like Boonen and Greipel were there. Marcel Kittel you were with.
Yeah, we raced a lot of the big name guys at the UCI stuff. Races, and especially the tour crits at the end of the year. And it's always interesting to see what they look like in real life as opposed to just on TV and stuff. And yeah, I knew you'd be excited to hear about Boonen.
No, I was. I'm still waiting for the signed poster, to be honest. But how important is going to Europe? Do you think, for the riders coming through, are they always going to be, if we send young riders over there, say, while the NRS is off, I think AJ's just doing his washing back there, but if we send young riders over there, are they going to be whipping boys?
I think the best guys at the NRS are as good as the good riders. It's just the depth over there, you notice a lot more. There's probably 150 good riders in a race. Here there's maybe 30 or something of the really top guys. It's just good to get the opportunity to go to Europe, and for a lot of our riders it was good because it gives credibility a bit to the DSs that might see you in results here, but if they actually see you in real life and see you there going well, then it sort of puts a face to the name, and results there definitely they look at a bit more.
And it's far harder to get over there.
Yeah, and hopefully that, like this year, having a few guys go well, hopefully it gives the NRS, they look at that a bit more, and it should all help each other.
And how does it work over there? Are you in, do you stay in hotels, or do you have a base house, which you run out of in Belgium or France or something like that?
Yeah, for us, the team rented a place in Belgium, and for half the time we had a place down in France as well. So just 2 big team houses, which was interesting living the whole time with 12 or 13 guys in the house. So it's nice to get home from that.
Naturally, you would have missed Jess.
Yeah, definitely. I'd rather be with her and Charlie these guys. But yeah, it was lucky they could do that, and the good guys for the climbs went down to France and could prepare there for the race like Alsace and Savoie, and the other guys were racing on the cobbles. So.
How much fun are the post-tour crits?
Yeah, they were really cool to do actually. We organised them a bit late, just because we were sitting around not racing for that week. And it was a cool experience to see what they're like and see what all the people like. So.
And the fans love it over there.
Oh, it's crazy. There was 25,000, 30,000 people just to watch a criterium. It's not even a legit race, and we're just rolling around and they're going nuts and all drunk and cheering. And yeah, it was very different.
Who were you a bit starstruck by over there? At the risk of you sounding a bit starstruck, but who sort of came across as, you know, happy to have a chat in a bunch? Maybe not to yourself, but they seem pretty approachable in sort of people coming up and saying, "Hey, how you going?" Or
yeah, the
or do you want to go the other way?
A lot of the racing there was because we were in Belgium, and there's not many times that we're sort of casual rolling along. You're always fighting for the next cobble section, or there's a fair bit of tension in the bunch, so you didn't really roll along talking too much. At the post-tour grids, there was a bit more of that. And it was interesting there because some guys were really into sort of selling the show and telling you to pretend you're hurting and stuff, which was
spin
interesting
faster.
to do. Yeah, Grafton was telling us we had to spin more and put our hurt face on. And yeah, it was interesting, different experience.
So you come back. How long were you over there for?
I think 2 months in Europe and 2 weeks we did tour of Japan on the way over.
Yep.
So that's one of my favourite tours. So
yeah,
it's really nice to do.
Yeah. So the Japan Cup is always a pretty well followed event. I think another Australian, Nathan Huss, won that.
This team went there, and from memory they were the only ones to win the crit and the road race. It was Steele and Hall.
Yep.
And Nathan Huss. Hopefully we get to go back.
So we come off the Belgium or the European sort of season. We come back to the beautiful weather in Melbourne. Apart from the last 2 days in Gippsland have been fantastic, but today not so much. Come back here. How hard is it, or is it hard to sort of start training again? So for most of us in Melbourne, or me mostly, it sort of gets a bit cold, a bit wet, a bit dark, and we go, I'll just rack the bike for a bit. How hard is it to sort of come back and say, right, I need to do it, or is it just part of your job?
Yeah, it's just part of it. For us, we got back just before South Coast, so I think I was home for 2 or 3 days, then went to South Coast, home for a couple of days, and once this little block of NRS stuff starts, it's pretty packed in, so I haven't actually had to train that much since I got back, which is always nice.
We've got CJ Fuller who's joined us. CJ making a recovery from an operation. Thanks very much for tuning in, mate. Hopefully see you soon. Sammy Rodriguez has joined in. Sam's our resident American watcher every Friday. Sammy, if you've got any questions about the USA, have you ever raced in the US?
Yeah, I went there when I was about 16 and raced a lot of the track racing and a bit there in Trexeltown, I think it's called. So that was the first time I went overseas. Okay,
there you go, Sammy. So if you've ever been over there, send us in your questions. I suppose moving forward now, you're at Tour of Gippsland. Your team controlled from the first minute of the first race into Traralgon, that crit. If you hadn't seen Avanti and along with a bit of help from New South Wales Institute of Sport, decided to go full gas from the first minute of the first stage of this 5-day race, and that really set you guys up for a really good couple of days, with Pat Shaw winning yesterday, one of your teammates, and then yourself winning today with some great work from Joe Cooper and Jake Kaufman, also from New South Wales Institute of Sport. How have you sort of come back from that Europe season, and have you sort of noticed that getting into these warmer months, a bit more racing, NRS has lifted? Do you find the pace a bit hotter now?
Yeah, definitely. Like today was a really good race. It was on the whole way, and everyone was getting a bit more into it. It's good having the N-Swiss guys here as well, because they get together and it's a good bit of rivalry there. Another team that's racing well together. And yeah, we went out in that first crit and really tried to light up there. There was a bit of crosswind in it and good opportunity. It sets it up well. We had 7 guys on the GC out of 30, so we can just follow moves a bit more. And I haven't had to sit on the front as much as the other boys, so
apart
saving our legs a
50
bit.
today.
Yeah, well, I was either dropped or off the front today the whole way nearly, so not too much time in the bunch.
Dave Fisher's written in asking how your shoes are.
Yeah, they're very good.
Riley's saying the same thing. You had a great race earlier. Riley's just reminded us, you had a great race earlier in Cadell's.
Yeah.
That's obviously going. It's obviously going World Tour next year, so you guys won't be able to race it. But I think you probably train with a few of the guys that are going to come down. Is that the closest thing to a European one-day classic that we've got?
Yeah, definitely. Cadell's is a great race, and they talk about it being good, that it went to the World Tour. I think it's a bit of a shame for a lot of teams like us, and I think we got 8 or 9 of the smaller Aussie teams there, and I reckon it's really good races like that, giving them the opportunity, their sponsors, the TV time, to go and race against the best guys, and I think that brings a fair bit of the crowd as well, is the local competition. Now it's just the same as down under and all the international guys, and unfortunately we don't get that chance.
All right, moving forward, are you sure of you've got Canberra Tour, or Capital Tour in Canberra?
Yeah, the next NRS one's a Canberra, Tassie in the morning. I'm not sure exactly what I'll do yet. I'll sit down with Andrew and find out after this.
So Tassie, you've got some really good climbers. Obviously, you're one of them really, but with Chris Hamilton, who's off to Giant next year. How do you reckon Chris will head off?
Yeah, he'll be going very well. He's already talking about Tassie all the time, and I think he'll be one to watch there for sure. It's a very hard course this year. The only real mountaintop of the NRS, I think. A good 30-minute climb or something, so it'll be good to see how guys can go up there.
So, Warnie, without you giving out too much info, I presume that will probably be on your cards, or Avanti as the team?
Yeah, the team will definitely
AJ
be there. I'd love to do it. I like those longer races when everyone gets a bit more tired and stuff, and yeah, we should stand out in a hard race.
Okay, and into 2017, you have another dig at Nationals?
Yeah, definitely. I already can't wait for that to
Just
try and get back there,
too
a
high,
little better, and
a couple of steps higher?
yeah, hopefully.
Okay, mate, thanks so much for joining us. Obviously, thanks very much to you and ACJ from Avanti for having us in. I know that you guys are leading almost all the classifications. So thank you very much for making time and really appreciate it.
Thanks to you. Thanks for tuning in, guys.
Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week.